Hello everyone, happy Saturday. I hope everyone is having a great Saturday. Come on in here, we're going to talk about some things, some important chit chat while I do some crocheting. Oh, I love it so much already. It's a little askew, I don't know. But this is what I've got so far. My name is Carolyn. I am neurodivergent. I'm autistic, have ADHD. I love to crochet. And I have also learned a lot about narcissistic abuse. And thought I would come on here and talk about it while I do some crocheting. So okay. If you've ever been the victim of a narcissist, then there's a good chance you probably have been a victim of many narcissists, because narcissists tend to target people who have similar character traits. And I wanted to talk about that here because I have unfortunately experienced a ton of narcissists and psychopaths, and I know for a fact that I attract them. I know that I have qualities that absolutely make me a desirable target for a psychopath, and that's not fun to admit at all. 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's necessary to understand. Like, you know, if you tell someone that you have a lot of experience with a certain type of people and they say, well, if you're always the common denominator, maybe you are the problem. And I would say that often I actually was the problem, because I'm very, very trusting, and I give people the benefit of the doubt, and that is part of what attracts a narcissist to you. So instead of me having to become a complete witch to not attract narcissists, I had to start figuring out what it was about me that made me such a perfect target. And so let's talk about that, because it's only after you can acknowledge the things that are really painful that you can then go and protect yourself. So my name is Carolyn. I am autistic. I have ADHD. I love to crochet, and I have an unusual amount of experience with psychopaths and with narcissists. And I figured all of that can't be for nothing. To have gone through the amount of nonsense that I've been through, and to want to share that with other people, I feel like that has to be why I went through so much heartache, like so much. And I am not in a self-righteous way. I'm a really nice human being. I really, really care about people, and that is one of the things that attracts a narcissist. So let's talk about that. Thank you guys for joining. You do clothes or just quilts? Oh, okay, so yeah, let's talk about what I'm actually making right now. So I have not made a quilt. I used to knit blankets when I only knew how to make square projects, and like everyone in my life got a square blanket or scarf. Now I've been making some clothes. I just learned how to crochet a couple months ago. I taught myself. You can do it too, especially if it's a special interest. But this is a hexagon cardigan, and I love it so much. It's one of my favorite things. I've been making a bunch of them. It took me like maybe 20 hours probably to make this, and 6 balls of yarn. And then when it's so warm. All right, what I'm making now is going to be a tank top. So I'm making a mesh tank top. This is the front panel, and we will attach it, we'll do a back panel, and it'll go over a tank top. So I got this beautiful yarn yesterday. I usually only buy acrylic because I am allergic to so many different fibers and I don't really care. But I spent a lot of money on this ball of yarn yesterday, so I'm hoping to make a pretty little cover up to put over a tank top. These colors just make me so happy too. Like there's just like the most beautiful little speckles of color. Okay, but why does a narcissist target you? Well, they might target you if you do adorable things like crochet, or you're whimsical, or you are a people pleaser, or you are a fawner. But seriously, there are definitely some character traits that narcissists will target you for. I know for me, I think because I am autistic, I also get targeted more often because I don't understand certain cues, certain social cues that happen. So I think that definitely made me a target. But yeah, okay, people always think that if you're going to be targeted by a narcissist, you must be really weak, you must be super vulnerable, you must, there's something wrong with you. But in fact, it's usually the exact opposite. There's so much good in you that is why you are being targeted. A narcissist, let's first define what a narcissist is. So, and actually I'm gonna clump them all together, that a narcissist, a psychopath, and a sociopath, there's no distinction. I don't care how it happened. I don't care if society is what created it or you were out of the womb like that. The same result, the result is the same for all of them. They are a threat to society. And I don't say that lightly, especially now. Anyone who is in a position of power, who is a psychopath, the amount of damage that they can do is beyond comprehension for most human beings, because most human beings are guided by an internal compass. They have a moral compass. You don't want to hurt people because you will experience remorse. You'll have guilt. You'll feel too ashamed of yourself if you go and do something that you know is shady. And so most people are guided by a sense of humanity that is lacking in narcissists and psychopaths. They do not experience shame and guilt and remorse. That's why they can do really despicable things and not think twice about it. And that's also how they get away with so much of it, because most people are not operating in the same way that they do. So when a human who has never experienced abuse by a psychopath or a narcissist hears of all the crazy stuff that the abuser has done, it almost makes more sense for that person to doubt the accuser than the person who is actually committing the offenses, because they are so egregious and so outlandish that most people just would not believe. Of course, that person could not have calculatedly done that, but they do. All right, some of the experience that I have with narcissists. I was raised by a narcissist. So my mother is a narcissist. My brother, who's older than me, was also a narcissist. And instead of him and I becoming allies in a very dysfunctional childhood, he took that opportunity to be one of my #1 terrorizers. So I grew up in dysfunction. I grew up as an autistic child, very, very sensitive, insanely sensitive, caring so much about other people, how to please them, how to make sure if everyone else is happy, if everyone else is good, then they're not going to be mad at me. So I learned very, very young how to observe other people and how to anticipate that someone's emotions were going to be unpredictable, or that my mother was going to be in a bad mood. And I was just conditioned at such a young age, and anyone who has been abused as a kid, you get so conditioned to be looking out for other people and what they are experiencing. It just becomes a way of life. So because I just kept thinking, if I try harder, if I am better, if I'm the best girl that I can be. I was an overachiever in school. I did so well. I tried to be like the best kid. And I thought, if I just work harder, then I will be able to figure out all of this nonsense that's around me. And then I had children. I had a child, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to therapy and talk about what I had gone through as a child. And everyone always says, you know, they applaud you for going to therapy and for trying to help yourself. But unfortunately, my doctor, and this is why we're going to be talking about how narcissists can target you. So there are certain qualities or character traits that a narcissist absolutely loves in their victims. And it's literally all of the goodness in humans. So it's a desire to put other people first, a willingness to want to get along, a human who is cooperative, a person who sees the good in other people. If you give the benefit of the doubt to your abuser, then you're always going to be able to make excuses for them. Any excuse that they come, you're going to believe it. So they want someone who is very agreeable. And so my doctor, because I was in therapy with him and he knew the backstory of all of my abuse and everything that I had gone through, he knew that my mother had been abusive, my brother was abusive, my father hadn't done anything to stand up for me. And he even pointedly asked me, why were you never more upset with your dad? And I said, because he did the best he could, you know? He was raised on a farm, he didn't mean to be neglectful and so my doctor saw I was the kind of person who would absolutely make excuses for bad behavior and in the name of wanting to get along with everyone. So narcissists will target your decency, your, well, in my case, my naivete. My doctor actually said that in an email once to me. He said, I love how naive you are. And he said, don't take that in a bad way. Which honestly, until he said that, I didn't even realize that there was a bad way to take that, because I thought, well, that's almost like saying that I am charming and whimsical. All right, so I actually just, it's very frustrating when you can see a personality disorder and other people can't see it. It's like I want to save people from the bad guys, and yet I also know that when I try to warn anyone, they don't listen, and it just makes me look more like a fool. So I've decided that I cannot save everyone, and the thing is, my autism is what allowed me to be abused for so long, because I kept making excuses for everyone and kept thinking if I just tried harder, then everything would be okay. But now my autism is also the exact thing that makes me be like the best lie detector, because now that I understand the patterns, because here's the thing, psychopathic abuse, it has like a pattern that they're not even clever. Psychopaths behave all the exact same way. So I can have a relationship with someone now, and as soon as my nervous system starts to sense like, oh, there's some inconsistency here, or there's some confusion, then I can start putting all of the pieces together and recognize generally that that's exactly who I'm dealing with. And so I'm gonna say conservatively, I think that there are like 10 to 20% of the population are psychopathic. They're like on the dark personality spectrum, because I see it everywhere now. And I wish I didn't, because I'm losing a lot of friends and a lot of people that I thought were very safe, and they are absolutely not. There was a psychopath in my mom's group. Well, here, we can say narcissist if it makes it feel a little less scary. But I just experienced another narcissist while trying to make a film at my school about narcissistic abuse from my doctor. And would you believe, the guy who I had asked to direct tried to take over my project while we were working on it. And when I would call him out on it, he would say, "Oh, I didn't know, you just had to tell me." And I said, "But I have been telling you. I've been calling you out every time that you overstep, and you keep putting me in these positions where I have to." See, that's the thing. A narcissist will keep pushing you, and then when you finally say something, it's, "Oh, I didn't know. All you had to do was tell me." They fake this, well, it's always DARVO. Okay, so deny the attack, reverse victim offender. So I would let some things go. Here's what happened. I wrote a film, a short film about a experience that I had after my doctor had abused me. And that's why I am at my film and acting school right now, is because of the crazy experience that I went through. That was like 7 years of abuse with my doctor. So I am at the school. I wrote a film about coercive control and abuse, and I brought on this guy. I wanted to be inclusive. How ridiculous am I? Even with all of the harm that has been done to me, I still was caring more about other people and making sure that they felt seen. And so I brought this guy onto the project, and I said I would like him to direct. And I had already shared my script with him. He had already had it, and he ended up doing some revisions to the script. And in the end, when I asked him to sign the contract, which he had brought up many times that we should have a contract, and I said yes. And because it was my first short film, and I had never made one, but he had made several, I said, absolutely, in good faith, come to me with a contract and I will sign it. Well, this guy waited and waited and waited and didn't have a contract. And then it was time that we were going to start submitting to film festivals. And I thought, well, okay, I want a contract. So I put one together, and I said that he could have a writing credit and a script editing credit and the director credit. And he writes back, "No way I'm signing that unless I get half." And first of all, what he meant was, no way I'm signing that unless I get 75%, because me being writer, him being director, he was already getting 50%. I gave him that. And he said, after everything I've done, this is the thanks I get. And I thought, how are you putting yourself in the position of victim here? Once I had the facts and was able to say, no, I'm sorry, you are deserving of a writing credit, because the contributions that he had made were exactly 4 to 6% of my script. Because again, this was my story. It's not like he made it up. It's not like he added half of the content to my story. So the fact that this man had the nerve to want to say that he deserved half of the writing credit, all right, talk about being targeted. This dude has known me now for a year. We worked on a film together. I was a gaffer. I have been in the photography industry, professional photographer, for 15 years. I worked in New York City. I've worked with Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom, Harper's Bazaar. I have a lot of experience in the professional space of not the film industry, but photography industry. This guy has experience in construction and has recently gotten into film. So all I'm saying is he does not have experience, whoopsies, having worked professionally in a major city. He's just starting and okay. So unfortunately, I also have a lot of PTSD from the abuse that I've experienced. So some brain fog and memory loss is also very possible. Here, why don't I just take a quick break? My name is Carolyn. I am autistic. I love to crochet. I am working right now on, it's going to be like a tank top cover-up. And I'm really enjoying this yarn. But I am sick of being targeted by narcissists. And they always say, you know, if you keep attracting the same person, maybe the problem is you. And I would like to think that I am able to take accountability and responsibility and say, I am too friggin' nice. I do not have great boundaries. I know this about me. I think a lot of it does have to do with my disability. I think I project my own goodness onto other people to my own detriment. And so that's how you can have an entire life where you almost exclusively have had narcissistic relationships, which means I know what they look like. I know what it looks like when it's a parent. I know when it's a sibling. My doctor, the director. So this director has also aligned himself with other people. And he chooses all the sweet, kind people because that's what they do. They choose people who are easy to get along with. And I just found out that you know, there are so many flying monkeys and there are so many people who are willing to side with abusers, and they are just in such cognitive dissonance. And I can't fix it all and I can't save everyone, but it really does break my heart because I brought together a lot of people for my short film, and to have spent my money on it, and then this guy wants 50% of it, but he didn't even pay a penny for like the whole thing. Like, how, if you really felt like you were 50% responsible or entitled to it, then why would you have not contributed? And the reason that this guy wanted to take 50% of my project is this. The volunteer work that I do is actually for the organization that helped me when I had to report my abusive psychopathic doctor. They were so helpful, and in the years that I have been healing, I decided that I wanted to help also support other victims of abusive doctors, because this happens so often. 9 out of 10 therapy abuse cases goes unreported. Only 1 in 10 is ever reported because it is confusing. The patients are often told that they will not be believed, that they are blamed, that it was their responsibility. And so anyway, I have just experienced so much friggin' narcissistic abuse. It makes no sense. I have to be able to do something with this, to be able to educate and help other people, but I cannot save everyone. And so there's this one girl, I want to reach out to her and say, hey, if you were my daughter, I would tell you, stay away from that dude. Like, he is only trying to use you. He's trying to ride your coattails. And I just found out that she's not talking to another person because of the stuff that he said. So she's being used as a flying monkey. There's absolutely triangulation happening. And it's a very frustrating feeling when you see that that's what's happening, because it's like the louder that you want to shout, hey, this is what's happening, the more people think, yeah, but maybe you're the problem. So frustrating. All right, so what are the kind of people that a narcissist will attract. Oh, sorry, that a narcissist will target. Basically, if you're an amazing human, they're going to target you. A person who wants to get along, who is easygoing, who loves to put other people first, who's a people pleaser, a person who's had an abusive past. Narcissists very quickly are going to do a deep dive. They don't like small talk. They want to know, what is your trauma? What are the things about you that like really get you to tick? And they are putting that all back in their back pocket for later on. Like everything that they do, it's like recon. It's all, and this is where I, as an autistic person, this is where I fail. Because I will overshare, I will info dump, I will trauma dump. And so imagine if I am in face-to-face with a narcissist, I am the perfect person for them. Because as soon as I think that there's someone who's legitimately concerned and cares about me or my experience, little inner child me, little Carolyn is like, oh, wonderful, I feel seen, I can connect with someone. Especially if it's something about like a special interest. Oh my gosh, I can just go on and on. And before I saw these patterns, before I understood what was happening, I was inviting all of this. I was giving too much information away. I was trusting all of the wrong people. And I still do. I still do. And frankly, I'm annoyed with myself. Okay, let's see what I've got here. I'm liking it. It's gonna be, so this is half of a panel. It's gonna be a shirt to go over like white tank tops or sundresses. It looks prettier. I think the colors look prettier. There. What do you think? Do you like it? So narcissists also love people who are going through a vulnerable time. If you are transitioning, if you are a single mom, if you are an outcast from your family, if you are the scapegoat, if you are a person who is just really sensitive and kind, well, narcissistic abuse is a cult for one. So if you have had a narcissist in your life, then you understand how they become your absolute everything. They become your solution to everything. My doctor in therapy, I was only in therapy with him for a couple months, and he very quickly groomed me to where when he suddenly ended therapy with me, I had a abandonment wound issue, which is why I was in therapy. And I was so devastated that he quit on me suddenly. And he said, answer the phone. And when I answered the phone on a Wednesday at 3 p.m., I will never forget, he said, I'm in love with you. And I gasped because what? And from that moment on, I was brainwashed, manipulated, exploited, and told basically that he was the love of my life. So this man said we were going to get married. So he ends therapy with me, and I think that I have just found literally the love of my life. Like I bought into it. Hook, line, and sinker. People who have great boundaries, not the best targets. People who don't, especially people who are in therapy already because they don't have good boundaries, they are great targets. So to prevent yourself from being abused, what are the things that we can do? Because I need to also get some tips. First, I'm trying to think, the first signs that I get that I am dealing with a narcissist is confusion. Because I am on the spectrum, because my brain works in a certain way that is very logical and very linear now, and see, before I realized what the patterns of abuse looked like, if I felt confused, I just thought, ooh, Carolyn, work harder, try harder, it's me, I have to do something. And then I realized what abuse actually looked like, and then I realized now every time that my nervous system feels a little bit unsure or Yeah, it's the confusion, really. As soon as I feel some confusion, I know to get away. And I haven't been wrong, actually. I have been wrong in trying to trust myself and convince myself that I was wrong. But in fact, every person that I have had like this inkling of like, uh-oh, that's exactly what happened with the director of the film that I wrote. Everything had gone so well while he was taking over my project and putting his name on my script. He put his name above mine in the credits, on the writing credit of the film. And I had to tell him, yeah, maybe you could put my name ahead of yours, because like, but that's what psychopaths do. They take and they make you feel uncomfortable, and they make you feel, I felt dirty having to ask my friend to respect my boundaries. You know, it feels a little bit embarrassing to have to say, hey, can you respect me? Could you like not put your name above mine on my script? And when I would bring this up to him, like he put his production name on my script. Like, I am a photographer. I've been in this industry for 15 years. I want my own production company. I am going to put my own stuff. It was the audacity of him to just take and to start taking my project and keep putting me in a position to have to assert myself. Like, I could not imagine doing that to someone else. At one point, he created this big dramatic incident for no reason. And later, when he was talking to me about it, he said, yeah, I was about to throw in the towel, basically throw you all the raw files. And I looked at him and said, and then you realize that would be ridiculous, right? Like, I could not imagine when I was working in New York City in photography, I could not imagine telling one of the photographers who wanted me to do something or didn't want me to do something or whatever, if I had made a mistake, to then say to them, well, I was just about to walk out the door. You're lucky, I almost left. Like, they would have said, then leave, like as if you were going to be trying to put me in a position where I have to beg you to stay and like for you to do the right thing. So, and then he cried, because that's what they will also do. They will cry. It was actually disgusting. That really triggered my nervous system even more. I hate fakeness. I cannot handle it. I am so sincere. And I say that as a person who is in acting. My acting school, it's all about behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances. So I actually very much value authenticity, and I despise people who are insincere. So when this man in front of me started crying these crocodile tears, I thought, he's trying to manipulate me. That's exactly what he's trying to do. Like, that's what they do. They are. And then later on, when things started going down and I said, you know, you have to sign it. And he would say, okay, Carolyn, like, I'm so sorry that this has gone this way. It means a lot. It's been an honor to be on your project. And then he said, you know, all you had to do was tell me, and I would have done things differently. And I said, these are all lies. And then his next email was, I feel threatened. Don't reach out to me again. And I kept seeing the mask fall. So that's the other thing. A narcissist, they cannot help it when they get a narcissistic injury. I mean, it's literally like the skies go gray. It is so dark and ominous. And anyway, I'm just such a friggin' ball of light. And I love so much, and I am whimsical. I've been a family photographer for a very long time. I love children. I love animals. They love me. They know that I am safe. And the same energy that attracts children also attracts narcissists. So it's not a surprise that I would have so many experiences. I'm just now sick of it. I am so tired of having one chaotic experience after another. So I have decided I'm going to keep sharing here. I'm going to try to appeal to people who actually want to hear about it. Yeah, I can't save the world. I wanted to before, I really did. I thought, oh my goodness, everyone's going to be so excited when I let them know that there's a predator amongst them. And they're going to say, oh, thank you so much, Carolyn, for telling us so that we can protect ourselves. And I could not believe it wasn't received that way. I am naive. I am autistic. All right, let's see. So narcissists will target certain people, and it's usually all of the best qualities that people have, because narcissists don't have those qualities, and they have to survive off of your goodness. So if you are a compassionate, caring, forgiving, loyalty, they love loyalty. If they know that you're loyal, that's one of the best signs, because your loyalty means you are never going to hold them accountable. If you're loyal, you're forgiving, I mean, people want to think that they could never be targeted and that a narcissist only goes after weak humans, but that's absolutely not the case. They actually go after high achievers. My doctor said that he liked me because I would make him look good. I was an award-winning photographer, and I had magazine covers in the city, and so he fantasized about the fact that he could show me off and I could make him look good, because humans are also just transactional objects to narcissists. They don't care about you. They never do. That's also why they move on so quickly after, because they don't care. You are only as good and as useful to them as long as you are good and useful to them. The moment you call them out, that's it. They will start smearing you also. So I know for a fact that my doctor has had a smear campaign against me. My mother has had a smear campaign against me. My doctor, the director, I know that they talk about me to other people. They have to, because otherwise they would look like the predators that they are. And I just have to be okay with that. And for the longest time, I wasn't. As an autistic person, what people think about me really, really matters. And I have cared for a very long time to make sure that the record was straight, and to make sure that people understood that facts just really, really matter to me. All right, if you are just tuning in, welcome. Thank you so much for saying that. I am so friggin' brave, and I am so angry that I've had to be so brave, because I don't want to be. See, I would like to be able to just crochet and be whimsical and live a sweet, loving little life, but I can't. Instead, I've had to read books like Women Who Love Psychopaths, Psychopath Free, The Body Keeps the Score. I have had so much friggin' trauma in my life, and the fact that I am still happy and looking to heal and to help other people, albeit in a much more discerning way, so that I don't burn out and deplete myself. But that's why I am at the school that I'm at. I'm at an acting school and film school. I want to write the stories that a lot of people don't talk about. A person who has been abused by a narcissist, the amount of damage that it does to your nervous system, to your brain, it's unreal. You know, someone said yesterday, what do you think about people who say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? And I say I absolutely don't believe that, because there are a lot of people who did not make it. And I am not stronger. I have way more hypervigilance. I was experiencing seizures from the stress that I had been experiencing. When you are being lied to pathologically, you can't make sense of things. Like, oh, it actually just got me. But when you're like really deep into it, it's so hard to make sense of it all, and you feel so alone. And so I don't want other people to feel alone. And I don't want everything that I have been through to be for nothing. The state prosecutor, after my doctor was found guilty, he said, Carolyn, you get to put this all behind you now and move on. I don't know why this is getting me choked up right now. And I said, like, respectfully, in what world do I move on and put this behind me? Like, I had been brainwashed and exploited for 7 years by my doctor. He had destroyed my marriage. He had destroyed the first couple years of my parenting experience with my children. And I just kept thinking, like, I cannot let this be for nothing. Not to mention, I am like 100% sure that my doctor did not just target me. I know that there were other people. There's no way that I was his only victim. And so the little girl in me who just wishes that the adults had said something and had cared enough to do something and to stop sweeping things under the rug. Like, I want to now be that adult for other people who don't want to keep sweeping this nonsense under the rug. And I am not intimidated any longer in the way that I was, where I could keep quiet and not talk about it. So yeah, narcissists will target certain people for sure. And it's usually people who have really wonderful characteristics and are just genuinely decent humans, and who often have a conditioning to abusive relationships. So if it feels normal, you just don't know. You know, I was raised in all trauma, all abuse. What it took for me to break out of that psychologically was 3 weeks of physical shock, like cognitive dissonance of trying to make sense of what had happened. I couldn't write, I couldn't speak, I was trembling, I was freezing. My body went through, they talk about the character of the spine of a character in a book. Well, my spine up to that point was to just find love, secure safety, find it at all costs. That was what the abused little me had wanted. That's why I went to therapy, was to be able to find someone who could help and could help heal. And instead I found myself with an actual psychopath who saw that I was the perfect person for him to target. So I am not the only one. 9 out of 10 victims of therapy abuse do not come forward. They don't say anything. It is a very confusing experience. It is a very isolating experience. Doctors, I know my doctor said that everyone would blame us both 50-50 equally. So I was very reluctant to come forward. And it turns out he was lying about that too, because, just so you know, patients cannot consent. It's exactly like a parent-child relationship. I told my doctor stuff that I never would have told another man, and I did it because I had faith in him as a professional. If a professional is supposed to do no harm and instead decides to use their patient for their own gratification and needs, well, this is what happens a lot. So I now work with other victims of narcissistic doctors and therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, and it is all the same pattern. People who are very reluctant to believe that a person who was meant to help them was actively working against them. And that's why it's so hard. That's why, like, could you seriously think about what it is like to go to a doctor wanting to improve yourself, and instead they take and they make you worse than when you went in? Like, it is, ugh. I'm going to make films about it. I'm going to share my experience. When I reached out for help, they said it is akin to being with Ted Bundy. And that's what I wish people understood. My doctor seems like a very charming individual. He authors books on ethical boundaries in therapy. He presents at law and ethics conferences, or at least he did until I decided to file my report against him, and now I hope that he cannot, but I don't know. He was able to keep at least one of his licenses. So, and that was through him cyber stalking me. Oof. Want to know why it is that I think psychopaths are so scary? I sent my doctor a cease and desist when he was cyber stalking me after he found out that I had filed the report. And months later, he continued to stalk me, which means he does not care about the law. They do not care. They will do whatever they want to be able to get what they want. So there's nothing that stops a narcissist. And that's why how ridiculous is it when people say, well, why did it take you so long? First of all, it takes you so long because you don't even understand what the heck you're going through. Second, it takes you so long because it's terrifying. I was scared to file the report against my doctor. I was very scared. I had to go to the police. I was trying to get a restraining order. I had received like 30 messages from my doctor within like 2 days, basically saying, and from his wife, saying that I was destroying their lives. Like, it took everything out of me to file the report against my doctor. And I was right. And he admitted that he had done these things. Narcissists target really kind, easygoing, loyal, forgiving people. People with a history of abuse and dysfunction who are already conditioned to having bad health, bad boundaries, and don't know how to protect themselves. I was abused by my doctor because I had had a history of child abuse. I did not have good boundaries. He knew I was exactly the perfect patient for him to target. Fortunately, my autism has now made it that I had actually gone to school for psychology, but I'm so sensitive that I realized I would take home everyone's problems with me. And so instead, I decided to pivot to family photography and have recreated happy homes for my clients. And I live vicariously through their children and the love that they get. But now I'm just going to create content here. I'm going to write scripts at my film and acting school that explore the concepts of coercive control more and who gets targeted. And I definitely want us to stop thinking that it's people who are weak or vulnerable who are targeted, because often it's high achievers. In fact, it's high achievers because the narcissists want what you have. They're not going to go for some bum who has nothing to offer them. Like, think about that. If you have been targeted, it's because you're better than they are. All right. Let's see. Anything else? All right, so let's recap at the end here. And also, if you are not following already, please do. I would really appreciate it. Share this with someone that you think might benefit from understanding narcissistic abuse. I really feel like my channel, I have it described as empathy with a backbone, because for the longest time, I had empathy that was not discerning. And I wanted to help everyone and save everyone, and I was gullible and naive. And now I'm not. And now I see it. And now I have people who say that I am not as nice as she's not as nice as you think she is. And I said, that's what you mean to say, is I'm not a doormat anymore. And I'm having to become okay with that. Like, I can't control how everyone sees me. So I'm finally okay being the villain in other people's stories, because dear Lord, they have really been the villains, and I'm not going to keep quiet any longer. You know, that's one of the things also that narcissists count on, is that you're going to not want to create waves or ruffle feathers or any of that. So they hope that you're going to keep their secrets to yourself. Well, I'm not going to keep their secrets to myself. I'm fully capable and interested in sharing how I was groomed, how it all happened. In fact, I'll even say that the director, I mean, he groomed me from the very beginning. He said that he thought I was amazing. His fiance, the first thing that she said to me was, wow, he has quite a crush on you. Like, what? Why is your fiance, do you know how awkward that was for me? To have this man's fiance who I had never met, and like, I respect women. To have her say, wow, he's got a crush on you. I thought, that's gotta be so icky for her to be having to hear from him how much he likes me. And yeah, I ended up sending her some screenshots of the stuff that he did at the end. And I said, I always liked you. And I'm really sorry for how we met. And I feel really bad for her. But I can't save everyone. So people are on their own now. Except you guys. I can't save you guys, but you can at least listen to this stuff. And if it resonates, take it to heart. I'm sure it's not easy. At least you made it and are working on a better, healthier you. Yes, it was not easy. It was absolutely horrific. And yes, I am working on making a healthier me. I had actually, for a little while, I started an LLC called Unethical Boundaries, but that was all focused on trauma and healing therapy abuse. And it is too difficult to stay stuck in that all the time. There's no healing that can be done. So I instead enrolled at my acting and film school almost 2 years ago now, and have decided that I'm going to take all of the stuff that I understand. So instead of just focusing on narcissistic abuse, it can be, well, I'm autistic and I know that I was kind of targeted based on that too, or I've had experience with child abuse. And so I also understand how that can make you more susceptible. So I just want to connect and I want to share content with other people, and hopefully we can heal together. And I appreciate that you say I am an amazing woman, because I honestly feel really, really strong. And I feel like I'm becoming the person I needed as a child. And that's my mission. I needed me. I needed someone to look out for me and to say, this is wrong and they need to stop it and they need to knock it off. And so I will be the one to say, they need to stop it. They need to knock it off. All right. And if I say that they're a psychopath, it says so much more about them than it does me, because I am literally a physical lie detector after everything that I've been through. And I don't want to be, it's just built into me now. So thank you guys so much for joining today. Yeah, I appreciate getting this off of my chest. I used to, when I would talk about this, get all trembly and I have really terrible emotional flashbacks. So it's just another sign that I am healing. And you can heal too. That's the wonderful thing. Our brains are so capable in the right situations, in safety, to heal and to undo all of the harm. So thank you guys so much for joining, and I will talk to you next time.